All right, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for watching, of course, this video. This is a continuation from my last video in discussing classifying quadrilaterals, and we're looking at a 5th grade lesson of classifying quadrilaterals. So we have our Common Core Standard, which is NC5G3, and that is classifying quadrilaterals into categories based on their properties. We also, of course, have our I can statement. Do keep in mind as well that you are able to pause during this video at any point in time to copy down any of the information given, as well as solving any of the questions. So feel free to pause this video. In our last video, we discussed various vocabulary needed for this particular standard, with now an addition of one more, which you see highlighted in yellow. But just to review, we have a polygon, which is a closed plane figure formed from line segments that meet only at their endpoints. A quadrilateral, which is a 4-sided polygon. A rectangle, which is a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of equal parallel sides and 4 right angles. A rhombus, which is a parallelogram with all 4 sides equal in length. A square, which is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. A parallelogram, which is a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel and congruent sides. We then also mentioned what parallel and congruent would mean. Parallel, of course, parallel lines, parallel sides. It's the same distance apart and they never touch. Congruent would also then mean same size and shape, also meaning equal. When now we added a trapezoid, which is another type of quadrilateral, but it is a quadrilateral with 1 pair of parallel sides. Of course, with the discussion of different types of quadrilaterals, a quadrilateral, quad of course meaning 4, that is a shape that has 4 sides and 4 angles. We discussed, of course, we mentioned a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, a parallelogram, a trapezoid, as well as a kite. In our last video, we primarily talked about a parallelogram. In this video, we're going to continue, but we're also going to mention other key shapes needed for 5th grade, and that is a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, and a trapezoid. Now, here are, of course, the shapes. We have a rectangle, we have a square, a rhombus, a parallelogram, as well as a trapezoid. These are 5 key quadrilaterals that are needed to be known. Now, many teachers have discussed there being a quadrilateral club, and without getting into much of that, you could search that information, of course, on your own. But without getting into much of that, it basically is discussing multiple quadrilaterals and how they belong to each other. So all parallelograms are quadrilaterals, as mentioned, as you see there, with meaning there's 4 angles and there's 4 sides. So we, of course, have our first one, which is a parallelogram club. And the rule for that club is it must have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Again, without getting into much of it, the reason why they call it a club is any type of club has a particular type of rules. So if you're only allowed in certain clubs based on certain rules, then you would fit that criteria. So a parallelogram club, the rule is it must have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Then you have the rectangle club. The rule for that is it must have 4 right angles. That, of course, is what makes up a rectangle. So the rule for that particular club is it must have 4 right angles, which each would equal 90 degrees. That being said, a right angle equals 90 degrees. Then we have another club, which is called the rhombus club. The rhombus club, the rule for that club is they must have 4 equal sides. And then finally, we have the square club. Now, with that being said, the square isn't necessarily a club. However, it can get into all the other clubs because a square gets into all 3 particular clubs, the parallelogram, the rectangle, and the rhombus. They have access to all 3 different clubs. Now, all 4 being a quadrilateral. Another one that is part of the quadrilateral club but cannot get access to the other clubs is a trapezoid. And the reason for that is because the main rule for the trapezoid is that it must have one pair of parallel sides. So notice the difference. So the trapezoid is in the quadrilateral club, but it's not a part of the parallelogram club. So it has access to the main club, the big one, but it does not have access to the other ones. So here's something that you can pause this video and go back if you need to and search for it, or just think about it if you've been taking down any particular notes. But just pause this video right now and think, why does a square get to be in 3 clubs? Why is that the one main thing that it has access to all 3 different clubs? And you see it based in that picture there. So take a little bit, think about it, and pause this video. Well, hopefully you had a chance to think about it. And the reason why a square gets to be in all 3 clubs is because it has 2 pairs of parallel sides, it has 4 right angles, and it has 4 equal sides. If you were to think about a parallelogram, a rectangle, and a rhombus, they have their own criteria, but only the square has access because it has all of those criteria. So again, thank you, of course, for watching this video. Hopefully you got something from it.